Back to the channel, everybody. So today what I'm planning on doing is working on remounting this rear tailgate. It's in pretty bad shape on the bottom half of it, or I want to say the bottom hinge part of it. And I plan to rebuild this part going right across here and remounting these hinges. And what I'm going to mount those to, because everything was basically rusted all the way apart right across here. This was all gone. So what I'm planning on doing is mounting this piece of steel onto this structure that I replaced, and then covering it with an outer skin of metal, and then mounting these hinges, and then redoing this part here. I'm planning on replacing this with a piece of steel pipe. The outer edge, this is really solid and actually in really good shape. But I think I just have to replace this middle part here, going right across here. All right, so first thing, let's get this old tailgate off. To take this piece of metal here and actually weld it to the back side of this. I'll be able to weld it good right across the back of this, and actually up underneath here. I'll weld it right up under here. Then what I'm thinking of doing is taking a piece of this type of metal, and I'm going to enclose this whole thing and bring it right across here and actually overlap it onto here, so I can tie this side into this side. I'll actually do the same over here, and then that's all going to be totally enclosed and be good, really strong. So I got this mounted with a couple of C-clamps, and now I just have to weld it up. I cleaned both the edges. Actually, I should clamp this up a little bit. All right, so I'm going to weld that up now. I get that welded in. Now I'm going to bend basically like a C piece of sheet metal that's going to encapsulate this whole thing. And it's going to do a dual purpose. It's going to encapsulate this, and it's also going to tie into this side over here. So both the sides are connected together. So I'm going to measure across here, and I'm going to overhang onto this side about 1/2 inch. Or you know what, I'm going to actually line up with this edge here, in this edge. So that makes it about 39 3/8. And then I'm going to make it about 4 1/4. Or actually about 4, and I'm going to bend up the sides to be about 1/2 inch to match this. All right, so I got this piece cut. I put a little jog in it, a little cut, to be able to rest on this area right here, and made it so this can overhang and go into this area here. So now I just have to get this in place. All right, so now I'm gonna clamp this. I wanna make sure this rests against here. And I'm going to clamp this and actually weld this to this and to here. So this all gets tied in together. Now I'm gonna go and work on the tailgate. So now onto the tailgate. Now I'm gonna just cut this off right across here. So at this point I have that material cut off. I have this all cleaned up. And what I ended up doing is cutting this piece of ordinary steel pipe that I'm going to use as part of the hinge. And this rod here is going to be passed through here, through this pipe, and onto the other end where it's going to receive it. So what I'm thinking of doing now is taking a piece of sheet metal and welding it onto here, and then making it bend where I can bend it over this and weld it right across here so it'll be all one piece. Then I'm gonna flip this tailgate over and do a flat piece of steel along the back. Hold it on. Came out pretty good. Actually, there's a lot of good steel to this part of it here, so it's making the welding a lot better. So now what I'm going to do is flip this over and weld another piece of metal right across the back here, just to tie that pipe into the tailgate completely. I have this roughed in. It looks pretty good. I'm going to actually clean it up later, and actually this is going to get body filler also to smoothen out some of these rough spots. But the next stage is mounting these hinges and also mounting this this hinge pin. And what's important to do with this hinge pin is make a flat spot in it so it's able to key itself into the hinge. But the location of it is important because you don't want it to be able to pop out when it's in the closed position. So what I'm going to do is actually make a mark on this hinge pin and grind a flat spot on both sides so it's able to fit into this hinge. You can see now it's not able to slide into that. That's actually good because now it allows me to grind off two flat spots and make it so it slides into there. The locations of where the hinges go. Now where this line is and this line here, I'm going to basically mill that out. I don't have a bridge port. That would be perfect for a bridge port, but I'm just going to use a grinder and just make a flat spot there. This hinge pin is pretty important. I want this to be able to go into the hinge when it's on a horizontal plane. So I want it to be hanging out of the back of the truck, maybe even tilted this way, so when I put it in, it's locked in once I lift it up. I don't know if that makes sense. Tailgate bolted back into position. I put bolts in where the latches or the chains hook on to keep the tailgate up. So now this gives me a good sturdy position to hold it when I mock these hinges out. So I basically want this hinge to be in kind of like the rest position, because this is exactly where I want it to be. So now I'm just going to mock those holes and drill those out. So guys, while I bolt this up, I just want to welcome the new subscribers to the channel. Thanks for subscribing and watching. And just to give you a quick description of my channel, I'm a 50-year-old plumber, and I got to the point in my life where I like working on different hobbies. I have a little bit more free time. So I rescue, I'm rescuing old vehicles that were basically bound for the junkyard, and doing my interpretation of a rescue, not so much even a restoration. Some of the stuff you might see me do here isn't probably how maybe you would do it, especially if you're a professional mechanic or restore really nice vehicles. But I'm just basically making the best of what I have. I don't want to spend a lot of money on these vehicles, and I just want basically the experience of driving them and owning them for a while, and then I'm going to end up selling them, and maybe the next person that owns them will do a full restoration. I'm not doing anything that's going to ruin them, so people aren't able to, like, I'm not destroying the motor or anything like that. I'm trying to keep everything pretty much original. But if somebody wanted to take this to the next level, they can. The things that are important to me is I want to make sure the brakes are good. I do a full restoration on the brakes, new brake lines, new master cylinder. What you're seeing me do now, I'm just doing these threaded rod and nuts, just temporary, just to hold this on to make sure it works right. I'm gonna get the right nut and bolts for these, but I just want to make sure it's going to work all right. But yeah, thanks for watching, and appreciate you subscribing. A lot of you might think that I should have just bought a new tub and a new chassis and probably a lot of new things for this, but I'm just basically seeing if I can bring it back to life with the things that I have with it. I figure if I end up buying a new chassis, a new body, a new motor, I might as well just buy a restored vehicle. One last thing, guys, these videos are not how-tos. If you get some sort of benefit out of something I do, that's great, but it's really not my intent. It's pretty much just an entertainment thing. I know myself, I like watching videos that either show people working on vehicles and just experiencing mechanics. I like all different experience levels and knowledge levels. I like watching beginners, and I like seeing the professional garages, how they work. But I hope you guys all enjoy this. I have a lot of projects that are coming up in the future, all different things, some Volkswagen stuff, and I'm actually going to be restoring an old boat also. But this is just, I hope this is something that you enjoy, and I hope this is something that you'll enjoy, and I'm going to try to put out a video every week. Let's try it out. take a little bit more off of this side. There we go. Yeah, I might have to just trim that down a little bit. But that's good. That's a good place to be. Guys, well, that's going to be it for today. I'm going to hop outside and give Shane and Tracy a hand on breaking up the leaves. We have an abnormally warm day today. So I will see you guys next week. Next week we'll probably...
The real part of Roy work comes in. Working, not working.
What do you think of that, Shane?
I agree. We're doing a little better job making this clean.
All right, good job, guys. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Have a great week.